Good day everyone and welcome to Eureka Archery. For today's video, I'll be showing you how I make and assemble these type of bows. This is an EFG Fiberglass bow. So this is how it looks like. For this particular one that I've just made, it pulls 26 pounds at 28 inches. It is a Hungarian design, and this bow here is shooting rather smoothly, and I'm going to show you how you can build this just at home with minimal tools, and it can be made quite fast. Now, what do you need to make the bow? First of all, you will need this. This is EFG Fiberglass. It is 4 millimeters, and I've cut this particular piece to be 96 centimeters. With 96 centimeters, you'll be able to make a 26-pound bow. So EFG is very durable. You can see here I'm bending it. Now, if made well, this material can make a really good bow for beginners and for those archers who are just new in archery, and if you're just interested in learning how to build bows, this will be a step up from PVC bows. So that is the fiberglass piece. Now for this particular assembly, I will be using ready-made CS. Now these are CS. This is how it looks like. So these are already made, and this is the handle. We'll be using a curved handle such as this one, and for the CS, just in this shape. Now if you need a template for these kind of CS and handle, just comment down below and we'll be able to share with you the templates. But in itself, it is very easy to make if you have the right tools. Other things that you need, you will definitely need G-clamps. A whole bunch of these would work. I use 3. You will also need some kind of string. I'm using this construction string material, which is very tough. You will definitely need a kind of adhesive. Now I'm just using 502 super glue, cheap and easy to get. And you will also need something to tie your CS up when you're doing the assembly. So here I have just rubber. So you'll need 2 of these. For this particular build, I'm only using one power tool, which is the angle grinder. Here I have the Tanzu wireless. And so far this angle grinder is not very expensive, and it has been working well for my build here. Now in order to make the bow look like this, now this is heat shrink tubing. This is not paint. So using heat shrink tubing such as this one, it allows us to make bows without having to inhale the fumes from the spray cans if you're using paint. I'm not using any adhesive to put this, just heat. Now if you are using heat shrink tubing, which I will show you how it looks like, it will look something like this. It helps if you have a heat gun, but if you don't have a heat gun, other kind of heat sources could work, such as a blowtorch or a hair dryer. But if you're using flame to heat it up, just be careful. Make sure you put the flame far away from the material so that you don't accidentally melt the material. Alright, so let's see how do we assemble these things into a functional bow. Alright, the first thing you want to do is, after measuring and cutting your fiberglass piece, you want to find the center line. So for this particular one, I've written there 96 centimeters, which gives me 48 centimeters between the tip to the middle. And make sure every time that you do this, you measure twice. You measure from the center till the end, from one side to the other, to make sure that you get an accurate reading. It is always important for you to measure twice and just cut once. So we'll have measured this a few times, and now we're going to get to the handle piece. For the handle piece, do the same thing, measure the middle, and what we want to do is we want to combine these two pieces together and clamp it down. So let's do that. Now you want to align the two lines that you've made earlier and clamp it down the middle. You want to make sure there aren't any gaps between the fiberglass material and your wooden handle, and you want to check the center of it. You can use the shadow of the handle piece and the fiberglass, and you want to see it from all angles. Once you've had it tight and secure, it will also help if you want to put some extra clamps left and right of it. But ultimately, this is how it's going to look like. Next, what we're going to do is, we're not going to glue this yet. We're just going to use the elastic or this rubber, and we're going to tie up the CS to the end so that we can start balancing it. Try to put it as center best as you can. Then we're just going to take the rubber, and we're just going to loop it around. just like so. Now we're going to do the same thing on the opposite end, and I'll show you how that looks like. Alright, so this is how it looks like once I've glued everything up. Got some clamps there, and I'm making sure that all of it is glued proper. So right after this, we are going to remove the clamps, and then we're just going to use the angle grinder to remove all this excess fiberglass. Now, since the angle grinder will be very loud, I will skip in recording that. I'll just show you how it looks like with some movie magic. So now that I have removed all the excess fiberglass, this is how it looks like. Now you want to make sure that these gaps are all filled. You can use sawdust. You can even use some of the fiberglass itself, the shaven fiberglass. And now this is how the bowl looks like. Now I know it may be tempting to string up the bow now as it is, but since we are only using super glue, it's not advisable. This can actually come off. So what we're going to do next is we're just going to clean up all the excess dust, all the fiberglass dust. We want to remove all that. Now the easiest way to do that is just by using a blower. Blow the whole thing, and then you're good to go. The next step is we're just going to use the string, and we're just going to wrap from this end to that end, and of course all this transitions. So I'll show you how that looks like in a bit. Now before I actually do the strings, what I'll do is I'll take these heat shrink tubings. This one has some fish scales on it, which I think looks very, very nice. And just using the heat gun, I put it over like this, and I just heat it up. So what we get is the bowl limbs is protected, and we don't have to use spray paints or any kind of paint to cover it. Some bowyers actually would use leather or pleather, fake leather, and use contact adhesive to cover it, but I don't really like those kind of methods. Simply being is that I'm already inhaling some fiberglass dust. I don't want to add spray paint into the mix and destroy my lungs even further. It's always important for you to be using the right protection, gloves, aprons, face mask, just to make sure that you're safe, because you want to be making a lot more bows. So after heating it up with the heat gun, so far the limbs looks very nice. This is the yellow one. It has a very nice sheen to it. After this, I'll be doing the serving from here all the way down, and then the transitions, and after that we can possibly string up the bow. Right, so after some processes, this is how the bow looks like now. I've done the serving at the sear transition as well as the handles, and I've added another layer of heat shrink tubing. This one has the crisscross pattern, which I think looks very nice in the combination of the fish scales and the crisscross pattern. Or maybe it'll be more appealing if we call it dragon scales. So the next thing we want to do is we want to make an arrow pass. So how I'm doing it, I'm using this. This is race skin, and I think it will look very nice with it here. So this bow will be made for a right-handed archer shooting 3 fingers on the training draw. Therefore, the race skin will be on this side. So in order to do this, what I'll be using is some contact adhesive. So what we want to do now is we want to identify where we are going to place it on the bow. So since this is for a right-handed archer shooting with the left hand, or rather holding the bow with the left hand, I've already made a knock on the string. So we're just going to knock the arrow, and we're going to identify where would the arrow rest. So a good way of determining this is I look for the thinnest bit on the handle. So that's about there. As you can see, the string knock has already been placed there at that position. So now we know where we want it to be. I'll just put this here like this, just to see how it looks like. And I think, yeah, that looks pretty good. So even if the archer wants to move it up or down, it's fine. It's pretty big enough for any kind of variations. So once we have that, we'll just put the arrow away. I'll be pressing this on, just like so. And I'll just take a pencil and trace out where I want the race skin to be. Well, the reason why we're doing this is because we're using contact adhesive or rubber cement, and you can see the shape there. Very faint pencil outline. Well, that's the general idea. We don't want it to be too obvious. So once we have that, what we're gonna do next is we just take a piece of paper or a brush. I just use a piece of paper because if you're using brushes, the brush will harden over time, so I don't want that. So I can see the outline and basically just put some contact adhesive in the area. Okay, once you have that on the bow, we will do the same thing on the race skin. Just put some rubber cement on that, and we're gonna leave it to dry until it is tacky to the touch. So earlier I've done the same thing with the other bow, the yellow colored one. So the rubber cement on this one is already tacky to the touch, so I'm just going to apply it. Now I'm going to press hard on it so that it adheres well. And now it is stuck on the heat shrink, and it looks really nice. So to just double check it, when I knock the arrow at the knocking point, the arrow will pass through the raised skin and not damaging the heat shrink. So this is how the bow looks like now. I think it looks nice and elegant. Very simple bow, and I would say this design is more reminiscent to a Hungarian bow design or even Tatar, but I would say it's more Hungarian. So after this, what's left to do is to test these bows out in the range and see how it shoots and how well it performs for your daily archery needs. So I think the red one is getting tacky. I'm going to apply that one and finish up the black one as well. So just quickly, this is the yellow one and this is the black one. I think it looks very, very nice. And if we were to put it side by side, that is how it will look like. So these are the three bows which was made here using just simple tools and ready-made materials, and you can assemble a bow that looks like this.